Freeman, medieval England, before banks, before corporations, before stock markets. Imagine a board game where most players start in chains. They can't move, they can't own anything. They owe everything they earn to whoever owns the board. But one type of player gets a special card. You are free. They answer to no one. That was called a freeman, the most powerful legal status a regular person could hold in England. Not a king, not a duke, just free. The conspiracy theory says a family carrying that exact name built a global system designed to keep everyone else locked in place. Nobody has named a famous freeman. Nobody has found their money. The name itself is the only evidence. And in the original language of Western power, that name literally means untouchable. Van Duyn, before 1775, before the United States existed. Imagine someone bought your entire neighborhood before it was a neighborhood, back when it was just mud, trees, and nobody wanted it. Then they disappeared. No address, no phone number, no forwarding anything. Just gone with the deed. The Van Duyns show up in pre-revolutionary land records for New Amsterdam, the Dutch settlement that later became Manhattan. Not as residents, as landholders. They may have held the legal deed to what is now the most expensive real estate on Earth before anyone decided to call it New York. Then they vanished from every public record entirely. No wealth list, no political seat, no corporate board, no address. A family documented as landowners of Manhattan. Gone. The question isn't whether they were powerful. The records already answer that. The question is where 2 centuries of that ownership actually went. Collins, May 1st, 1776. Imagine 2 kids started a secret club at school. One of them got caught and expelled. His name ended up in every report. The other kid, the one who actually designed the rules, was never mentioned. History punished the first kid. The second kid just kept running the club. That is the exact date Adam Weishaupt founded the Bavarian Illuminati in Bavaria, Germany. A secret network of intellectuals and power brokers built to reshape governments from the inside. It was banned 11 years later. Weishaupt died in exile. His letters survived. And inside those letters, according to researcher Fritz Springmeier, are Collins' family names. Not as initiates, not as members, as co-architects. The organization that forms the basis of virtually every modern conspiracy theory about global control may have had a co-founder that history never recorded. Weishaupt got the Wikipedia page. Collins got a footnote in a book later found in Osama bin Laden's compound. The Illuminati lasted 11 years officially. The theory says it never actually stopped. Astor, late 1700s to early 1800s. Imagine a kid selling lemonade on your street. Except the lemonade is illegal, the cups are cargo ships, and the product is a drug that gets people hooked for life. Then he takes the profits and buys every house on the block. John Jacob Astor arrived in America with almost nothing. The official story says he built his fortune through the fur trade, what the museum exhibits skip. Astor's American Fur Company maintained active trade routes to China, and the commodity moving in that direction wasn't fur. It was opium. Sourced from Turkey, shipped into China where it was banned by law, traded for silk and porcelain that Astor sold back in the United States at enormous profit. He was one of the first documented American opium traffickers. He took those profits and bought Manhattan land while it was still cheap farmland, every building that rose on it, every hotel that carried his name, every charity gala his descendants hosted, funded by an illegal drug trade that addicted tens of thousands of people. The Waldorf Astoria gift shop sells $28 chocolates. Russell. 1832. Imagine going on a school trip to Europe and coming back with one idea. What if we started a club that never dies? A club where the connections outlive every single member, where what everyone knows about each other keeps them loyal forever. William Huntington Russell came back from Germany with exactly that idea. He had encountered secret society traditions in Europe, built on oaths, rituals, and networks that outlasted any individual member. He brought that model back to Yale University and co-founded Skull and Bones. What funded the Russell family wealth that made this possible? Russell and Company, one of the largest American opium traffickers operating out of Canton, China. The society built on that capital went on to produce President William Howard Taft, President George H.W. Bush, President George W. Bush, Secretary of State John Kerry, and multiple CIA directors. The Russell Trust Association still owns Skull and Bones today. The name has never changed. The operating budget is $4 million a year. The building on Yale's campus still has no windows. Rothschild, 1853 to 1856. Imagine 2 kids are fighting over a toy. You lend money to both of them so they can buy better weapons. You get paid back no matter who wins. You literally cannot lose. That is the Rothschild model. Britain and France fought together against Russia in the Crimean War. The British Rothschilds financed Britain's war costs. The French Rothschilds financed France's war costs. Same war, same side. Two branches of one family collecting interest from both governments at the same time. Guaranteed profit regardless of who spent more. This wasn't hidden. It was simply how the family engineered itself. A branch in every major European capital, lending to whoever held power, ensuring money flowed back to the same name, no matter what happened politically. Then, in November 1917, British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour wrote the letter that gave political legitimacy to the idea of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. He addressed it to Lord Walter Rothschild. Not to a government, not to a committee, to one man's home. The document that became the political foundation for the creation of modern Israel was mailed to a private address. It is in the British National Archives. You can request a copy. DuPont, summer of 1933. Imagine someone hired the school security guard to lock the principal in the office and take over the school. The guard said no. He went straight to the teachers, told them everything, and an official investigation happened. The investigation confirmed the whole plan was real, and nobody got expelled. A group of wealthy American industrialists approached retired Marine General Smedley Butler with a proposition. They wanted him to recruit 500,000 war veterans, march on Washington, and remove Franklin D. Roosevelt from power. The model was Mussolini's Italy. Roosevelt would stay as a figurehead while the new administrator ran the country. Butler was their choice to command the army. Butler said no. Then he walked into Congress and told them everything. The House Un-American Activities Committee investigated. Multiple witnesses confirmed Butler's account. The committee's final report stated that the plot was real. DuPont family connections were among those named. Nobody was charged. Nobody lost a government contract. Nobody went to prison. A documented, confirmed, congressionally investigated attempt to overthrow the President of the United States produced zero legal consequences for anyone involved. It is called the business plot. It is not taught in most schools. Kennedy, 1934. Imagine the city hired the most notorious car thief in town to design the city's anti-theft system. He wrote all the rules. Then investigators found out he kept stealing cars using the exact system he designed. Franklin D. Roosevelt needed someone to chair the newly created Securities and Exchange Commission, the government agency built to stop market manipulation and insider trading. He appointed Joseph Kennedy Sr. His private reasoning, shared with advisors, it takes a thief to catch one. Kennedy had spent the previous decade doing both. He wrote the regulations. Investigators later found evidence he kept profiting from the exact practices those regulations were meant to stop. That alone is remarkable. But here's what happened while his son was president. JFK and Chicago mob boss Sam Giancana were simultaneously in a relationship with the same woman, Judith Exner. During that exact period, Giancana was on the CIA's payroll, under contract to assassinate Fidel Castro. The president's girlfriend was also the mob boss's girlfriend. The mob boss was a federal contractor. A Senate committee discovered this in 1975 and called it disturbing. Then the committee was dissolved. Bundy. World War II era. Imagine a family where Grandpa wrote the war plans. One son was in the room when the world almost ended, and the other son controlled the magazine that told everyone what to think about it. 3 generations. 0 elections. The Bundys didn't need them. Harvey Bundy served as the personal assistant to Secretary of War Henry Stimson, the man who oversaw all U.S. military operations during the war. Harvey had direct access to the most classified decisions of the century, including early oversight of the Manhattan Project. His son, McGeorge Bundy, became National Security Advisor during the Cuban Missile Crisis and Vietnam, the man in the room when the world almost ended. His other son, William Bundy, was a CIA analyst who later ran Foreign Affairs magazine, the journal that shapes how the entire U.S. foreign policy establishment thinks. Both sons were skull and bones. None of them ever held elected office. None of them ever needed to. 3 generations of one family. Every major American conflict from World War II through Vietnam. Always in the room, never on the ballot. Rockefeller, 1942. Imagine owning a gas station and secretly selling fuel to the enemy your country is at war with, getting caught, paying a $50 fine, then going home. A U.S. Senate investigation confirmed that Standard Oil's German subsidiary had continued supplying fuel to the Nazi Luftwaffe after the United States entered World War II. Standard Oil had active technology sharing agreements with IG Farben, the German chemical company that manufactured Zyklon B and operated factories using concentration camp prisoners as forced labor. The penalty Standard Oil paid was $50,000. At the same time, Chase National Bank, the Rockefeller family bank, kept Nazi-owned accounts open in its Paris branch during the German occupation of France. Other American banks refused. Chase did not. A separate investigation confirmed this. The fine Chase paid was nothing. The companies that descended from Standard Oil are collectively worth over $1 trillion today. Nobody adjusted the $50,000 for inflation. Onassis, 1954. Imagine one private citizen walked up to every oil-producing country on Earth and said, "I will be the only person moving your product, every barrel, my ships, exclusively." Aristotle Onassis quietly negotiated a deal with the Saudi royal family to become the sole transporter of all Saudi oil exports, every barrel leaving the country, exclusively through his ships. One private citizen controlling the movement of a significant share of the world's energy supply. The U.S. State Department found out. The British government found out. The FBI opened a personal investigation into Onassis. American oil companies applied direct pressure on Riyadh. The deal was canceled under diplomatic force. The man who came closest to privately controlling global oil transport was stopped not by a law. There was no law against it, but by governments quietly deciding he had gotten too close to something they wanted to keep for themselves. 14 years later, he married Jackie Kennedy. No journalist publicly connected those two facts at the time. Merovingian, 1956. Imagine making up a family tree. Not just any family tree, a bloodline going all the way back to Jesus Christ, then forging medieval documents to prove it, then sneaking those documents into a national library for other people to discover, then watching those discoveries turn into books, then documentaries, then an 80 million copy best-selling novel. Pierre Plantard, a French nationalist with a prior conviction for fraud, created an organization he called the Priory of Sion. He claimed it was an ancient brotherhood that had secretly protected a royal bloodline descending from Jesus Christ across 15 centuries. He fabricated medieval documents, artificially aged them, and physically planted them inside the French National Library. He called this technique false deposits. The books led to more books. The books led to documentaries. The documentaries led to Dan Brown's novel, which sold 80 million copies. Also, in 1993, a French judge summoned Plantard and placed him under oath. Plantard admitted everything was invented. The entire modern Holy Grail bloodline conspiracy, Knights Templar, secret societies, the hidden descendants of Christ, rests on a confession. Plantard died in 2000. His Wikipedia page is 3 paragraphs. Lee, post-1979. Imagine using your government job to build a contact list of the most powerful people on the planet, then quitting, opening a private firm, and charging clients to call those same people. Henry Kissinger served as U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. In those roles, he personally engineered the opening of U.S.-China diplomatic relations in 1972, using government authority, government resources, and government access to build relationships with Beijing's inner circle. Then he left government. In 1982, he opened Kissinger Associates, a private consulting firm. Its client list is confidential. What is known? Senior Lee family members in Hong Kong and Beijing, among the most connected financial and political figures in China, became part of his documented network. Kissinger met with Chinese leadership over 100 times across 50 years, almost entirely as a private citizen after 1977. Every visit was paid for by someone. The relationships he built on public time were monetized through a private firm whose clients nobody is required to disclose. He did this until he was 99 years old. He died in 2023.